everyone, I'm Deepthi Manipali and welcome to yet another episode of the Daily Casual. Today I have with me Vivikta Kona, my friend at my BTech. So hello Vivikta, how are you feeling?
Hi Deepthi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So today, to give an overview about this podcast, we talk a lot about the world, about our future lives, and what we'll be doing, how we'll be, how she's going to be an entrepreneur, how I'm going to be a podcast host, and all. So we thought, why not bring the Gen Z perspective to you all? Because we somehow feel that the Gen Z perspective, like the early Gen Z's perspective, is not being told or heard mostly. So we thought, why not do that? So, firstly to start with, how's your graduating life treating you?
It's been 1 week since we are done with all those exams and presentations and all those stuff, and I have really enjoyed this 1 week. I was so free. I was so liberated. I was so untied of all the things, and I was literally enjoying it to the fullest, because again, this is going to be my last summer vacation, so it's been fun. Actually, I have been loving it, and since I am untied to so many things right now, I am so happy and excited to explore so many things that I've always wished to do.
So, what are your next plans? What will you be doing immediately next? What are your plans?
So I'm currently in search of a job, and for management roles especially. Although I am a engineering graduate, I've been interested into business since my second year of BTech, and that's the reason why I want to take up management roles now. Be it marketing or business development role, business analyst role, whatever it might be, I'm really interested to do that, so that I can really get a first hand experience of how a business runs, what all goes into it to build a business, and how do you handle so many things at one time. Really get to know
managing things.
Yeah. Get to know how a CEO's life is, or how an entrepreneur's life is, and then eventually have my own business.
So yeah, that reminds me of your MUBAT exam. So you were telling me that there was this section. There was a section of gaming in your MUBAT exam. So that kept me thinking about the strategizing. Like you were telling me how they test your strategizing skills through gamified game testing your gaming skills, or what is it?
So actually they test your kind of IQ, we can say that, through this gamified whole setup. What we have to do is, they in MUBAT exam, so MUBAT is for, you write MUBAT for Masters Union. Masters Union is a upcoming
Business
MBA college. Yes,
business school.
Business school. So MUBAT is that when you write it for their PG program. In that exam, of course, there are 3 parts. First is the aptitude, which normal for all the things that CAT has. It has that. Second part is this gamified section, and third part is paragraphs. Paragraphs, we have known that since so long, right? We know that. So this gamified section is a new thing which I've seen. In this gamified section, they ask you to play simple games. They are actually simple, but you when we think deeply about it, you actually need few strategies coming up right at that point of time. You are only given 20 minutes to solve one game, or I guess 3 games, I don't remember it correctly, but yeah, and you need to strategize that thing immediately after you learn how that game is played, and then play the game, give the test. This I felt like this was something very interesting, because nowadays people are really into video games and all of this stuff, right? So I really liked the fact that they introduced this gamified thing into it, because it really triggers you from inside. We have been our generation has been wanting to prove ourselves so much since the very young age. I don't know what we want to prove. Maybe it's that kind of situation, that kind of an age, that we want to prove something, but it differs age by age, right? So I felt like this kind of thing, like this attitude of ours is being tested there to and it's like asking us to prove ourselves by throwing these small challenges onto us at, like, like that point of time. Also, when you really think it from a business perspective, like how an entrepreneur should be, you are thrown into these challenges time and again when you're like doing business, or like when you're being an entrepreneur. How would you strategize your whole vision of your business or your company and tackle the present challenge so that you reach your future goal? All of I really loved the fact that they're using this gamified thing to prepare you for those kind of situations in future.
So like when you were telling me about how they had gamified sessions and you have to strategize all of this, that kept me thinking about how people like our classmates, our friends, my brother and all, they keep playing games all the time. They like most of our classmates are they love video games and they
Yes.
keep playing it. Yes, they are not so good. Like being an addict to it is a bad. Like it has a dark side, but then seeing a brighter side of it, it also helps you nurture your strategizing mind.
True.
I don't think people who are playing with that mind, but there is also a brighter side for it, and I really wish people would see that side of it instead of constantly asking us to stop playing those. Like there are advantages of it too. There is a reason why it was all started. Not just for your pleasure and all, but also for nurturing your strategizing mind. I really wish people would know that, and and I feel that's how Gen Zs today are living. They are playing, like they are not socializing mostly.
Like this, like Deepti, this reminds me of the thing that happened last month or so, I guess. Our Prime Minister was talking to people who played esports, who had their video gaming channels on YouTube. That was actually a quite refreshing move, I felt, because like people like those are getting now attention, and also that positive image creation is also being done, because up to date, like in my house also, even I used to play video games when I was like really too small. We used to have this TV video games, right? So for that also, if I played for more than 1 hour, I remember my parents not being okay with it. But now, like, see how things have changed. It's just been few years. It's not even been 10 years that that incident happened with me, and now I'm seeing the change, how parents are also accepting this fact that like this is the new generation and this is the new trend, or new career path that you can also choose. So I'm really excited about how. See, and I also believe this thing. What all, like being an influencer, being a gamer, these were all like the roles or the career paths which millennials got to create.
Yes.
Gen Z is just getting into that thing. We are getting into our career phase. I'm really excited to see what all new roles or new career paths that we all will come up with. I mean, I am so sure that maybe we too might come up with a new career path. We never know, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
So yeah, even I heard about the esports thing when my brother was telling. Like he was like, "There's a whole esports thing that is going to come on. It is going to be a new career and all." I was like, "Ha, okay." So yeah, that like being in video games, like doesn't mean that Gen Zs are not socializing too, because I see a lot of them, who love talking to people, who love socializing. Like just in my building, there's this girl who talks to every single person. Like not just in my building, there everywhere I go, there's one person for sure of our age who loves speaking to everyone, who loves making friends with everyone and all. So that really cheers us up. Like they come with a cheering smile, and they know about you. They ask what about the things that are going on with you and all. That really helps a lot. And also, socializing is something that I really love and I really want to do. So what I want to say here is, being in video games is doesn't just mean that we are just sticking in our own bubble. Like we also love to go out. It's just a matter of time where we find our friends. We have to meet that vibe
Yep.
with them.
It's actually true, and I've seen this with my sister. She's someone who like really keeps herself far away from socializing with people, but she's also the same person who can like make friends with anyone and everyone. She really has that thing. I am like so envious of her for this quality, but I really admire it. Like on a serious note, I really admire the skill that she has, that she possesses. Definitely, I want to learn that skill and have that skill, of course. But yeah, there are like both sides that exist in us. I feel like, and we being and like maybe I'm just boosting a lot about Gen Z, but Gen Z needs it, bro. That we accept and embrace both the sides that a human has. Be it we are never black. We cannot be generalized into a black side or a white side. There are like rainbow has 7 colors, and it's important to embrace all those 7 colors. I feel like our generation really takes that initiative to embrace all those colors and embrace black, embrace every color in between, and embrace white. How good that combination would be, how good a generation would be, that kind of a generation would be. I'm also really excited to see how we will be in our late 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, and so on.
Like yes, the millennials might have also done many things. The late Gen Zs might also have done many things, but we would like to focus more on early Gen Zs because we are that, and we really want to bring that perspective on because it is not being like we have just started. We have just started our life, and I really want to put this out before I really want to put this out and say that we are thinking like this, and there's a lot of thinking going on in our minds before we do anything also, and that brings me to the point that Gen Zs are also thinking about marriage. Like I have never seen like till date I have never seen people talking openly about their marriage. Like the other day when I was talking to my friend, she was also telling about how she thinks about marriages, and you know what she she thinks she imagines her married life to be, because I think that is also a bright side to see in Gen Zs, because you have to talk, you have to know what how you want to be, because you are going to spend 70% of your life with someone else, and you can't spend it with someone else you just know, right? You should not just about the person, you should also have a clarity among yourselves how you are going to be, how you want to be, and all the things. Like this reminds me of the podcast. I was watching a podcast of TRS, the Ranveer show, and of where R Madhavan talks about getting married early at an early age. So he asked this question that why should people get married? Why does society makes people marry at a young age? So Madhavan says that people should get married at a young age because that is the age, like 23, 24, 25 is the age where you are not fixed to things. Like your dreams are growing. So if you're married at that age, you will grow together. You are more flexible to change with the person. More like if you get married at your late 20s or 30s, something like that, then you're fixed. Like you want a certain things to be certain way, and the other person is also the same way. So it's hard to live like that, right? So that really made me think, not that I want to get married at early age, but then it is also a point why people ask you to marry at a young age. So like what do you think about your married life?
That's
I know we feel awkward, embarrassing to also talk in front of our parents or anything, but I really feel this is something that we should talk about.
That's actually true. So, yes, I agree that some parts of marriage is a bit awkward, like still a bit awkward to talk in front of parents. But most of the ice has already been broken. Maybe, of course, like the credit goes to the kind of environment we both have been, and the situations that we have been, the things that we have heard, and which has like encouraged us to talk about marriage at this young age. And like when it comes to like this point that getting married early is a good thing, maybe yes. I really I like that idea, but I'm also a bit skeptical. Maybe I just need to explore it more. I just need to think about this idea more. But it's actually fun, You are like two friends who are getting old together. See, we have always dreamt of this whole dream of having a group of friends, then getting big together, having a family, like all these things happening while we are like staying in touch with this group of friends. We are always dreaming of having our houses besides our friends' houses and all of this stuff, right? Just think of marriage in a similar way. How good it is to grow up together, to share all those embarrassing and maybe the proudest moments of that age together. It would be so fun. Maybe even if you don't get married, just like staying together with each other, sticking on with each other, having each other's back at those times. Be it a happy situation, be it a sad situation, be it an embarrassing situation, whatever it might be. That journey of life, it just seems so fun. Also coming to the other side, getting married little late, maybe that's also a good idea to see, because I'm a 21-year-old girl, and I still haven't figured out who I am today. What I really want to be, what are my like dreams, how do I imagine my life, say when I'm at the age of 60. I haven't figured out that. It's not that I didn't think about it, but I'm still
You're still
in that-
exploring yourself.
Yeah,
Like, what do you like? What do you not like? What are you?
Yes, exactly. So I agree that it's a good phase to have someone with you in this time also, but sometimes you need that aloneness to really understand yourself. And it's not that in a relationship you cannot get that privacy or that aloneness, but sometimes it's, like you feel free, I feel. You feel free to be whoever you want to be. Take an example of me. See, I was a very different person when I was at school and my inter college. And when I came into BTech life, I know how much I have changed myself. Yes, in the beginning, it was really tough to transition from my old characteristics to new characteristics that I, like to become the person I really want to be. And I feel like I'm still in that process. But anyone who knew me in my school and anyone who knew me from my BTech will have two different images of me. I like it that way. But maybe sometimes it might not always be like the person who liked me in school might not like the college Vivikta, right? Maybe he or she is used to see me in that kind of a shape or whatever it might be. So it's still a question that I'm thinking upon.
So, like, talking about marriage is still a taboo for me. Like, I can speak about menstruation, but I can't speak about marriage because that has become so awkward. Like, people from my childhood, it has, like, they made it so awkward, so embarrassing that I cannot open up about that topic anywhere. So, and also coming to the point of menstruation, like, that is something, so talking or even questioning about menstruation is something that I have recently learned. Like I have that there's a book that I have previously mentioned called Ritu Vidya. That book it talks about the science behind the menstrual practices. Like why should a woman sleep on floor when she's menstruating? Not that we have to follow it right now, but the science is behind it. Why is what has been told to us should be done. it's because of certain science behind it, certain energies in us, like, and all. So that book has really helped me question things, and while questioning, I have also, like, in the journey of my questioning, I have also met many people who are in the of our age, who are also questioning the same things, questioning not because they don't believe it, because they want to believe it more.
Exactly.
I really want to stress on this point, because people think we are questioning because we don't, they don't know, or we don't know, or we just want to oppose it. No, we are questioning to increase our belief towards it. We want to know, like, and also I'm happy that people of our age are questioning things in a better way. They want to know about things. They want to know what has happened is being happened, and why is this practice a certain way, and why is it not. So I really like that is being happening, and sometimes I feel that this is the right period that we are born in. Like, we are so lucky to be born in this period. I somehow feel that. So what do you think about questioning? Do you question, or what happens when you question?
Yes, I actually agree to this point that we are born in the right period of time, because yes, we have been born. I don't know. I cannot completely explain why, but I really feel lucky to be born at like this period, and I'm living in this moment. And coming to the question, yes, I do question a lot. Initially, when I started questioning, I heard my parents, my grandparents, they didn't actually entertain all of those questions, of course. But slowly, when they started noticing how I am evolving as an adolescent, or as a young teenager, as a youngster right now, they started understanding that why I was questioning these things. What was my reason behind it? Why I wanted to know some things very deeply. And once even they like my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, then he started answering to few of my questions, and when he saw the way I was reacting to these things, like that whole thing was so good to watch. For them to see the evolving me inside, see to see how I was, respecting more things, more beliefs that they had, and respecting them for having those beliefs. Because, like, these are two different things, and as far as I have observed, earlier generations might not have done this, or maybe I don't know. There was some
They
kind
never
of a,
got their answers.
exactly, and there was some kind of a disconnection between the elders and the youngsters. But now I can see how this connection is being rebuilt again, because now those people are also started to understand why these things were coming up from our side, and we also started questioning more in a more polite way, I should say, in a more way that they also understand our like our reasons of questioning things. Also, like, coming to menstruation, yes, there are a lot of beliefs, and like culturally also these beliefs differ. Like, few religions have few beliefs, and few other religions have other beliefs. Few cultures, like parts of India only, has a lot of different beliefs about menstruation. And as you were mentioning, when I was reading Rituvidya, I really I really understood the whole, I felt like I really understood that whole concept of menstruation, and the story that was created around menstruation, and the kind of beliefs and cultural beliefs people had. Now I had a choice of opting for which kind of belief or which kind of school of thoughts that I want to adapt in my life. Like, imagine this thing. This would be so good for all of us to see, for all of us to choose, right? It's like every step of we of course we need to choose in our lives. That's an inevitable thing. But when we are given with such kind of a information in front of us, I feel like it's more easier to choose. Of course, when you have a lot of choices, they say that it's hard to choose, but in some cases, no, it's easier to choose. It's easier to resonate with something more, and resonate with some things less, and then design your life in such a way that you are actually, building your own life, like representing yourself in your whole life, if that really makes a sense.
And also, questioning them won't just, will help us know if that's a mere superstition or if there's a reason behind it. That was also another thing that this book helped me, because, previously I used to brush it off as a mere superstition. But then after knowing it, I started thinking through things, not just about menstruation, about be it spirituality or anything. I started thinking through it, like, why is meditation important? Why is yoga or any kind of practice, not just these, if you wake up in the morning and jog for a while, why is that important? Why is not touching your phone for a while after you wake up, why is that important? And all, you think through things, and that has changed my life in a whole different way, because that has also changed the way I talk to my parents too. Because sometimes I really used to get mad at what they say, or the things they do, but they are also humans, right? They have flaws in them. They are not perfect too. They don't know parenting. They have been figuring it out. So that helped me with a lot of things in my life. And I really hope people also think through things before they brush it off as a superstition. Because no, most of the things that happen in India are not superstitious. The people claim them as superstitions,
Yes.
but there is a reason behind it. Some things might be dangerous and might really be superstitious, but most of them, I don't think they are just superstitions. There is a reason why our ancestors brought them into our life. It's all of this is just for us to live a better life, with a better lifestyle. Follow a better routine, have a better lifestyle. And that also brings me to the point of spirituality. Like, I was so astonished when I saw my friends, like two different extremes, people of two different extremes, following spirituality. Like, a friend who is too into the Western world, westernized and all, and another friend who is too into traditional things and all. Both of them, they follow spirituality. Like, some follow Sadhguru, meditation, yoga and all. The other believe in their own God, religion, their practices. But both of them, I see both of them having the same mindset. That really helped me realize another point, that they have belief in something, they have faith in something. Be it meditation might be your faith, doing yoga might be your faith, exercising, going to gym might be your faith, or praying to God early in the morning, be it anyone, your religions, any God, might be your faith. Both of them have a faith in something. I realized that having this faith is helping you with a better mental stability. Faith is all about that, having peace. Whenever say, suppose there is some person in hospital and there's nothing you can do, all you do is pray, or you have your faith, and that faith helps you give your peace, helps in your mental peace, with your mental stability. And I'm really glad that our generation is speaking up about the problems, be it anxiety. I had my first episode about anxiety, and people speaking about different types of mental illnesses, and also they are also trying to bring them back, like have mental stability in them, have some faith and all. So I'm really glad that we are doing that things. And what do you think about all of this?
So spirituality, oh my god, this is a very
Spiritual
huge this is a very huge topic. And time and again I have my phases where I am, as you said, I am that spiritual Vikta, and then I'm back to being my old self. Like, to summarize everything about spirituality that I've heard, or that I've learned, or that I've realized, there is this one thing that I've heard, that things were made easier, like complex things were made easier for us in the kind of rules and, like you were mentioning, superstitions and all of the beliefs that old generations had. But, like as these things started passing on to the next upcoming generations, I felt like the essence of why these things were made simpler was not being carried out. Maybe in some way we just lost it somewhere, and now here we are again, like having these 2 or 3 generations who are questioning all of these things, like challenging all of these things, and then finally maybe by the end of their lives also getting their own answers of why complex things were made easier, or like why you made simple things complex, something like that. So this whole realization part, I'm really liking this. Maybe like they say this thing, like when Britishers were here, or when we had so many invasions, a huge chunk of our knowledge was lost, because of all of the things that happened during that time. But now when we really look at all things that are happening, I feel like we have now started connecting to our roots back, and that feels more peaceful right now, more validating all of the things that we have, all of the cultural beliefs, or the habits we have in some cases. It's actually been good. Like yoga is one of the oldest habits of Indians. We didn't really know why, at least I didn't know when I was a child, why yoga was good. We had yoga classes almost like every Wednesday at our school, and I was never really interested in it. But now as I'm growing up and I'm understanding what is yoga, why is it done, what are its benefits, I'm really able to connect myself to those things, and then build a lifestyle out of it, build my habits out of those things. I might not completely follow all those things, but at least I'm trying to design my life in such a way that, like I'm comfortable being me. So,
Yeah, like most of the whys, getting answer to our whys helped us follow certain practices which we used to not like at
Exactly,
all.
yes.
Like you were telling yoga, and I used to learn music, classical music for 10 long years, and after I stopped, and after I got to know the real meaning of a certain song, or a certain shloka or anything, that's when I had the thought of restarting it again all by myself. Because knowing the why, knowing the stories, like recently I've been listening a lot to Ramayana stories. Like I read this book you suggested me, and that helped me know Ramayana in a better way. That helped me answer all my whys of Ramayana. Why this happened in a certain way, and why all of that happened, and how it was for why did Rama take a immediate decision that yes, okay, my father told me I'll go to the forest. Why did he think that, and why did Hanuman do that in a certain way? All of these, when I got to know all of these, when I was answered to all of these questions, I started looking for answers to the things that bore me, and those things suddenly became interesting, because now I know why it was the way it is. And so this is how it is for me recently, and I really like my journey of questioning things, to understand them in a better way. So this is what we want to bring it out to you. So this is one perspective again. This is our perspective. This is one kind of perspective. There are many other perspectives of Gen Z. So I would love to interview more Gen Zs too, and know what is going on with them, how do they think, and what do they think about this episode. So this is what our Gen Zs think. This is for you to know us better in a better way, and to question things, to get answers for your things in a better way. So thank you for being till the end of the episode. Thank you.
Thank you. And also subscribe. No.
Like, share, subscribe.
To
Daily Casual.
The Daily Casual.
Thank you.